Welcome to another episode of Rambling with Phil. Today I'm in a 2019 VW Tiguan, and I'm going to show you how to install a tow hitch all on your own without any help from your friends. Because if you're like me, I don't have any friends that want to help you when you need help. So the first step is to get your car jacked up off the ground. Alright, so here's the underside of the car. So right next to the hidden exhaust pipes, underneath your bumper, there's two bolts. One, two. Those are the two bolts on this side of the car that you're going to take out and that you're going to put back in that hold up the hitch. It's the same thing on the other side of the car. Now before you can do that though, you're going to have to lower the exhaust. And you do that by loosening that bolt there. And it's the same thing on the other side. You have to do it on both sides. Alright, it is a 13mm. It came loose very easily. Now, it would help if you do have an extension similar to this, so you don't have to reach way up in there, because sometimes when the bolt gives, you end up, scraping your knuckles. And that kind of hurts. Well, at least for a little while. So if you've seen any of my safety videos, you know, safety is important. When you get under the car, make sure you have eye protection, because you never know what's going to drop down, onto your face. And if it drops onto your face, well, maybe it's not that big a deal, but drops in your eye, that could be a big deal. You want to remain able to see what you're doing, and well, it's always nice to watch a Rambling with Phil video when you have nothing better to do. Okay, so the bolt that we have to remove, that one right there, in order to, that's just one of four, but the bolt that we have to remove in order to attach the hitch to the frame of the vehicle is right there. That's one of them. And what I normally like to do is I normally like to take a breaker bar to loosen any bolts that have never been loosened before. So just like that. Then you just kind of hit it a few times, and normally it comes off. Normally it gets loose, and then I just like to do it a couple more times, because these breaker bars are meant to be used where you need a little bit more force, whereas if you're using your ratchet, you might actually break the ratcheting mechanism, and I have done that before. So you want to just get it loose, and then you can go ahead and take your ratchet, start ratcheting, and do the same thing for the other four. These are 16mm bolt heads. Make sure you have that in your socket set. Not every socket set has them. Maybe everyone does except mine. But luckily I do have spare sockets of multiple sizes, thanks to my wife Joanne. Okay, so this is my workaround for not having any friends who are available to help when you need them to help. I stick the new hitch onto my trolley jack, and then I shove it underneath the car, and I start to jack it up. Then I don't need an extra set of hands, because I've got a lift. Well, a little trolley jack. But that's my workaround. Okay, so the last step after you've got the bolts back on the trailer hitch, or back on your car to attach the trailer hitch, is to torque your bolts. And according to the CURT website, it takes 45 foot-pounds of torque to tighten these bolts, or that's what you want to tighten them to. So you want to use a torque wrench, get back under the car, and tighten up those bolts. And I'm going to show you a little trick that I had to use. I had a hard time getting the bolts on one side of the vehicle, and I'm just giving you this tip to save you about 2 or 3 hours of frustration. Okay, here we go. Alright, so we got our torque wrench set for 45. There you go. When you hear that click, it means you're at 45. Alright, so I'm going to tell you the little trick that I actually had to use because I had such a hard time getting the bolts back on the side of the car. So the problem is there's another piece of metal in here that runs along here inside, and they're not welded to the side rail. Now I don't know if that's because that was a mistake or what the deal is. There's this handy little hole here that you can stick your screwdriver through. So by putting your screwdriver into this hole, and I don't know if that's what this is actually for, but you put your long screwdriver in here, you can actually pry. It actually comes out on top of that bumper, and you can push upwards, and I'm exaggerating a little, but you can push upwards, which would then push the bumper down and then move the nut downward to align with the bolt. That took me about 2 to 3 hours to figure out. So I'm telling you now this tip so that you will not have to go through that same frustration. I tried everything. I took a tow strap and I tried to yank down on the bumper underneath the bumper cover, but of course there's not very much room, and that didn't work. But when I saw that hole finally, after looking at it for about 2 hours, I figured out that's how you do it. So that's the tip. That's my tip of the day to save you 2 hours. It says 20 minutes of installation, but it took me a lot longer than that. But there it is on the underside. And of course the muffler is attached yet again to the railing. So that's what it looks like from the underside, and I'm going to give you a shot of the back in a second, but just so you can see. Alright, so that's what it looks like just under the bumper. And this is about how far your hitch is going to stick out from your bumper. So realistically, not too bad. Okay, so thanks for watching another episode of Rambling with Phil. I know I look a little beat, but that's because it took me forever to figure out how to get those bolts back on. So hope you enjoyed that video, got some tips. Hit like and don't forget to hit subscribe. One of those two sides. Thanks for watching Rambling with Phil.